Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. Brian Jennings here, the Millennial Dragon. This channel exists to discuss my relationship with Quentin Tarantino. Right? I'm the reason that Quentin canceled his film, The Movie Critic, last April, and he and the people around him have entered into a campaign to compel me to madness because I didn't bend to his psychic whim at a screening of Jackie Brown at De Niro Con last June. Variety reported on it, right? What did Robert De Niro talk about? Not getting a job? Right? What did Quentin talk about? Anyone who was there is fine, people there, what does it mean? Right? Life-changing roles, etc., etc. Right? I chose my side. And so as this thing continues to exacerbate itself, just get bigger and bigger and bigger, the fog in my mind resolves itself, right, into adieu. Right? And so when I think about it, why all of it, as far as the daughter and everything. It's all in the novel. I've written a novelization of my experiences, and I'm going to read from it soon. But as time continues to pass, right, and our connection becomes more absolute, right, that the two of us have a case study relationship in clairvoyance and remote viewing, right, that we are bound together past the edges of eternity, beyond space and time, right? And so, right, as the days continue to pass, right, it becomes more obvious. The revelations are coming, right? I offer the one about how Quentin gets his jollies, and I'm not going to talk about that right now, but it's 100% true. It has to be. But the revelation that I had today, this morning, was that when I wrote my letters, I wrote the first letters after Tribeca to WME, right, to Mike Simpson, his agent, right? And I suspect that they all told him, no, this is bullshit. You talk to this guy, right? It's time to look him in the eye. It's time to, right? And so he didn't want to do that, right? Because he's a child in his mind. And so he and the people around him said, "Oh, okay, I know what I'll do, right? I'll make him look insane. I'll make him do things that make him seem insane to Sony and to WME." And I suppose he succeeded on some level, right? As far as my whole family thinks I'm insane, right? But they've done nothing to prove me insane. It's worth pointing out. They just say words, right? They could write William Morris Endeavor. Anyone has a clear path, right, to proving me insane, right? And that's by getting Quentin to release the conversation with Jackie Brown, right? If I'm not in Quentin's life at all, right, if I have nothing to do with the movie critic, then that conversation has nothing to do with me. Therefore, he can release it, right? At De Niro Con, well, that's an important conversation, isn't it? Oh wait, he turned it into a fucked up mind game, and so I turned my back on him when he turned his back on me, because he didn't want to say something simply to me, right? He's not interested in simple honesty, right? And so, right, I wrote my letters to WME. I told him I was going to build him a porch planter, right, the rhombic triacontahedron out of steel, right? And I was working on it, and that whole day I was sweating, slaving away. My back was hurting, using a cheap Chinese plasma cutter because it's all that was available, right? And what does he say? Arts and crafts is for fags. You got to have balls to be in the movies, right? And now he sees that he's an ignorant ass, right? But my point is that I suspect that they were like, you need to reconcile with this guy. This is a nice guy. This is a cool guy. And he didn't want to do that, right? Because he's a 10-year-old in his mind and thinks that he can do whatever he wants to whomever he wants. No repercussions, right? The only reason that he's not being evil to me constantly all day, every day, is because I started writing Westboro Baptist Church, right? Just so that we're all caught up here, right? It's not because he grew a heart, right? It's because, right, William Morris Endeavor and everyone else involved, Fish, the Discovery Institute, they all know, right? that they'll go picket outside of their offices forever, not for a day, right? So my point is that, right, he conjured this shallow, evil conspiracy, right, to make me seem like I'm not well, so he could say, there it is, and I've been saying that for a while now, right? But now I see a little clearer, right? The WME, and maybe even Sony as well, were like, what's your problem? What's your problem? Like, why can't you talk to this guy eye to eye? And he resents me for that, right? And to be clear, now they've insulated such a high evil that I feel it incumbent upon me to talk about it, right? I'm not interested in blood money, right? I tried to sue. I did everything that I could, was sorting trash, and he thought that it was funnier to torture me, to traumatize me, right? And again, it's all in that video, a plea to the Pope, right? And he would still be doing it right now if I didn't start writing Westboro Baptist, right? I wrote everyone around him from a place of love, everyone around me from a place of love, because I felt bad, because I see that he needed that, right? And now I see it's all for a reason, you know? Because he's not actually cool, that's the point, right? If he was cool, right, he would have said, okay, here's $1 million, maybe I use the same, maybe I don't, sign this, fuck off. And that's, right? And in his mind, he says, oh, you don't get to do that, right? You don't get to just humiliate me, and I hate to break it to you, buddy, right? That now, right, now you actually are not cool, right? That for a long time, I thought, oh, you were just an eccentric artist. Like the feet, the arrogance, right? I thought that was your charm, right? But now I see it's misdirection because you have a palpable evil in you, right? And you're interested in meditating on evil, right? And so now I've crafted this novel, and we're barreling towards completion now. We're at the peak of the rhapsody, right? And I have some 6 weeks before I reveal myself. Right? But they're burying me in it right now. I'm in the middle of Tennessee, middle America, right? Walking, hearing a myriad of voices, right? Quentin, Daniela, his fake daughter, Willow, Badass Cinema, I think that's the actual girl. Anastasio, Sue, his wife, Eliza, his daughter, Sitka Pick, his father-in-law. Right? All of these people are just like coagulating, right? And he'll throw in other people, right? Again, it's all to confuse me, right? Perhaps it's all Quentin, right? That it's some sick intellectual exercise. And in his mind, he's like, oh, I cast the ultimate spell. Now when this guy blows his brains out. You get it? He's sick. He's not well in his mind, right? And to involve his daughter, right? His innocent little girl, right? She has a psychic stain hovering over her and within her forever. Right? Even if I put a gun in my mouth as soon as I finish this video, that it's done. It's done. She has that shroud, right? Shroud of the Antichrist hovering within and around her. Right? And there's no, right? The only way that he could counter it is if he devotes all of his life to good works, right? That if he gives all of his money away to charity, right? Joins a monastery, right? All of it. Maintain celibacy forever. No more feet, right? No more depraved bacchanalia, Hollywood orgies, right? That's the level. This is the game, right? Oh, you want to play the occult mentalism game. You want to play the psychic mind game, right? My point is that the stakes are always this high, right? And so he tells his people, oh, he didn't understand what it was. Like, this guy doesn't know what's occurring. Right? I'll compel him to blow his brains out, and then I'll be free of him. And I'll get his scene for free. Right? Really sick. Right? Really fucking sick.